thank you very much, Anushka, and thank you very much to the IPPR and to JPMorgan for hosting this summit. This summit comes at a really important time because while unemployment is beginning to come down, youth unemployment, and particularly long-term youth unemployment, remains stubbornly high. The latest data show that there are 912,000 young people in this country who are out of work, 315,000 of them claiming job seekers allowance, and of those, 53,000 have been claiming for more than a year, twice the level as in 2010. So as I say, long-term youth unemployment remains stubbornly high and is not coming down at the rate that unemployment is overall. In fact, it's gone up over the last few years. And it's not just about unemployment. For those in work, 79% of 16 to 20-year-olds are in low-paid jobs, according to research by the Resolution Foundation. And we must tackle this as a country and with businesses too, not just because it makes economic sense, but for social justice reasons as well. And to do so, it is clear that we need to take action throughout young people's lives, with a school system that works for all young people, a further education and vocational learning system that provides an effective transition from education into work, an affordable university and sustainable model for higher education funding, and a social security system that actively helps those young people who have fallen through the gaps. I'm here today to talk about the last of these, how we can ensure that we have a social security system that actually helps get young people into work and helps them to stay in work when they are there. So what would a Labour government do to tackle these issues? Well, schools have a critical role to play in ensuring that young people have the skills that they need in life. And that is why Tristram Hunt's emphasis on school standards and Ed Miliband's emphasis on the forgotten 50% is so important. Those young people who don't get the opportunity to go on to higher education also need support to get the skills they need to succeed. That is critical. And then my job, as Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, and hopefully in government, is to ensure that when young people fall through the gaps and become unemployed, we have a social security system that gets young people back into jobs and provides a backstop when young people do not have the skills they need to succeed and secure a job on their own. We've set out 3 key policies to ensure that this happens: the compulsory jobs guarantee, the basic skills test, and reforming the work programme. So let me take each of those in turn. First, Labour will introduce a compulsory jobs guarantee. As I said at the outset, there are 53,000 young people who have been unemployed for more than 12 months, many applying for job after job, but getting nowhere, often not even getting an acknowledgement, let alone an interview. Although the majority of these young people will have no or few qualifications, others will have vocational qualifications, A-levels, or even university degrees. Using estimates from Akivo, the House of Commons Library have estimated that the economic cost of these 53,000 young people out of work for more than a year is around £330 million each and every year, which translates to a cost of £3.1 billion over the course of their lifetimes. For those aged 18 to 24, Labour's compulsory jobs guarantee will mean any person in receipt of job seekers allowance for a year or more will be guaranteed a job. The job would last for at least 6 months, be for at least 25 hours per week, with the balance available for training and supported job search, and will be paid at least national minimum wage. Government would also pay the national insurance contributions for those people and £500 towards the training and administration costs of every person on the scheme. Last month, I visited the Welsh Assembly Government's Jobs Growth Wales programme, where this approach has already been adopted very successfully. This scheme was launched in Wales last year to create opportunities for 12,000 unemployed 16 to 24-year-olds and has proved a huge success. The number of jobs is ahead of target, and over 80% of those jobs are in the private sector. The majority of those are in small businesses. And evidence there is showing that once a company has invested 6 months in a new employee, they are more than likely to keep them on. In fact, over 80% of young people who have gone through the scheme have stayed in work after the end of the programme. On my visit to Cardiff, I met 4 young people who had been taken on as trainees by an international software company called Sapiens. They had all previously found it incredibly difficult to get a job. One had applied for hundreds of jobs, but despite impressive qualifications, had failed to get a single interview. Another had been working at bars and cafes, but again, despite a university degree, was struggling to find secure and stable employment that utilised the skills that she had. Thanks to the Jobs Growth Wales programme, the 4 young people I met were all able to gain vital experience and skills in a paid job and have also now been taken on as full-time permanent employees by Sapiens. So Labour's compulsory jobs guarantee for young people will provide a backstop, not just for those young people, but for our social security system as well. And it will be fully funded by repeating the tax on bank bonuses and by a restriction on pensions tax relief for those earning more than £150,000 a year. Investing £1.9 billion in the compulsory jobs guarantee for young people is about justice for the individuals whose life chances have been stolen, but also makes economic sense when we account for the lost tax revenue, extra social security expenditure, and lost output and growth for decades to come. Because it will put a strict limit on the amount of time that anyone can lose touch with the world of work, and so limit the scarring effects that can blight young people's long-term employability and earnings potential. In addition to our compulsory jobs guarantee, earlier this year, I announced that we would also introduce a basic skills test for people claiming job seekers allowance, because we know that basic skills are essential in today's jobs market. But the levels of English, maths and IT among too many young job seekers are damaging their chances of getting work and trapping them in a vicious cycle between low-paid work and benefits. Nearly 1 in 10 people claiming job seekers allowance don't have basic literacy skills, and over 1 in 10 don't have basic numeracy skills. And IT skills amongst job seekers are even worse. Nearly half don't have the skills to send a basic email, something that is now essential for almost any job application, let alone for holding down a job. And we know that this keeps people out of jobs. Those out of work are twice as likely than those in work to lack basic English and maths. When people who lack these skills do get a job, they too often find themselves in short-term or temporary work, quickly returning to benefits again. And nearly 1 in 5 of those who have made multiple claims for unemployment benefits have problems with literacy or numeracy. And this is what the basic skills test is set to address. In January, I met a student at Hackney College whose life was transformed by basic skills training. For most of his life, he'd been unable to read and write. He enrolled on a course in painting and decorating at the college, but quickly realised that if he was going to make a success of this as a career, he needed to be able to read the instructions on a tin of paint and read the description of the paintbrushes that he wanted to use. He told me how he would carry a copy of the Metro under his arm because he wanted to look the part and to disguise his inability to read. It took the basic skills training course at Hackney College to diagnose his dyslexia and teach him to read. Once he had finished his basic skills course, he went on to study further and get the vocational qualifications he needed to succeed. That mixture of vocational training but also basic skills training is what is needed, but for many job seekers and for many young people, it's what is lacking. Our basic skills test aims to have a similar impact on thousands of people who cannot read, write, or perform basic IT skills, because we need to take action to ensure that those who are out of work have the skills they need to move into the long-term jobs they want and that the country needs them to take. And this is why we have committed to a requirement for job seekers to take training if they don't have those basic skill requirements in maths, English and IT. Training they will be required to take up alongside their job search or lose their benefits. Labour's basic skills test will ensure that people's skills needs are addressed and that basic skills gaps are addressed in the first 6 weeks of claiming job seekers allowance, not after months and years of neglect, as can be the case today. Finally, we need to improve the support we give to young people looking for a job at every stage. And for that, we need a work programme that actually works. Under the government's work programme, despite £1 billion paid out to contractors, people are more likely to return to the job centre than get a job after 2 years on the work programme, which is why we have said that we will not be renewing the work programme contracts when they come up in 2015-2016. instead of the top-down, bigger is better model imposed by the government, we will be ensuring that providers are jointly commissioned by central and local government in order that it can be better integrated into local economic needs and requirements, working closely with local businesses and making better use of local charities, social enterprises and smaller businesses to deliver those contracts. The support needed in Lambeth is different from the support needed in Barnsley. The support needed to get people back to work in Glasgow is different from what is needed in the Welsh Valleys. All need support, but we believe local people better understand local businesses and smaller contracts will give more opportunities for smaller providers than the big contracts awarded by this government have done. So this is what a Labour government will do. We will improve the vocational education system and build an effective transition from school and college to the world of work. And as Ed Miliband has set out, that will be a clear priority of an incoming Labour government. And then it is my job to ensure that our social security system provides the backstop for those without jobs and without basic skills, through our compulsory jobs guarantee, our basic skills test, and by ensuring that we have a work programme that works. It makes economic sense because youth unemployment is blighting lives and damaging futures every day. I do not have to look any further than my own surgeries in Leeds West, where time after time I have seen young people come to me, desperate to work, but unable to get an interview despite applications. This problem must be tackled urgently, and I've set out how we would do this. But I also welcome the ideas that others can bring to the table. Ideas from JPMorgan, from IPPR, from many other people in this room who are actively involved in implementing policies to help young people achieve and fulfil their potential. And so I look forward to hearing what you have to say today. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry that I can't stay for the panel session, but I look forward to taking some questions. Thank you.